Excited to welcome Anthem Sports Group President Carlos Silva for the purposes of this conversation, the man in charge of TNA Wrestling, to the show for the first time ahead of TNA Slammiversary, your company's signature pay-per-view being held at the UBS Arena in New York, Saturday, July 20th. You have been all across the sports and media landscape over the last quarter century, even when you were leading PFL. Would you have ever guessed that you'd wind up running a professional wrestling company?
I don't think that one would have been on my short list, Adam. But you know what? It's so great that I am, and we're having a great time. We have a great team. So, there's these twists that you have in your life and your career. It's interesting, and what's funny about it is, even though I might not have imagined it, there's so many connection points
Of course.
around TNA wrestling. You mentioned PFL and World Series of Fighting, and so look, it's great that it's all come together.
Well, it's fun to watch your Twitter because it seems like you're all in, like you've bought into pro wrestling. Did you have any experience with it, either professionally as a fan prior to taking this job? And beyond that, have you been surprised that some of the intricacies that you've experienced behind the scenes compared to what you've seen in other sports throughout your career?
I would say I was a casual fan. I mean, like all of us, there's been these superstars that have been part of the wrestling world. Sorry,
It's okay. I have a dog too.
dog in the house.
I have one too.
uh,
You're good.
that we have these superstars that are part of the sports and entertainment landscape, and I think being in and around that, either as a kid, you get brought up in, whether that's the Hulk Hogans and the Andre Giants of the world. And then, it was so nice to see Goldberg this last weekend. And I was a fan of Goldberg as, another sort of, superstar that peaked and crossed over beyond just the wrestling fans.
Mhm.
And so, look, being in sports entertainment my whole career too, you track the businesses, you understand them, understanding the fandom, I think, is the biggest part of what we all do inside of this industry. And so, look, I've been gotten many calls over the years about WWE opportunities. You always take those calls. And so look, with everything that's happened with Endeavor and then TKO, again, understanding all that, even being a small part of that, as I ran Barrett Jackson, which was an Endeavor, is an Endeavor property, and got to know Ari and Mark, and I knew Nick from my time at CAA because he helped us do the deals for ESPN when we were at PFL. I mean, there's so many great connection points just from as we've all grown up in the sports and entertainment industry together.
And it's always fun to see people who are, let's say, from outside the professional wrestling world get involved, and then all of a sudden realize, like, okay, I get it. This is why people like this so much. This is why they get so invested into it. And there's a lot of attention, obviously, being paid to TNA and this Slammiversary show, more than there has been certainly in a while. Obviously, fans are coming into this, they're expecting payoff whenever there's a tentpole show being run. How focused are you and the creative team right now? Not just capitalizing on this interest with a good show, but building momentum coming out of this event, knowing how many eyes are going to be on it.
Look, I think in everything that we do in the sports and entertainment space, you think about those moments and those tentpole moments as you build your year. And Slammiversary is something that we've been thinking. I mean, I joined here, beginning of the year,
Mhm.
end of December, beginning of January, and we were already, as someone that was coming into the organization, I was immediately thinking about what was going to happen at UBS Arena, biggest city, big arena, brand new, beautiful arena. No John Ledecky. He's been very supportive from the Islanders. How do we build for 6 months to get there? And then how does that not just, you know, end and be exciting, but then how does that catapult us forward going, in the next 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? And that's really how we've looked at Slammiversary. And I think some of that is all the other builds that even built up to it. I mean, LA is a great example of that. We had a great show out in LA, and that was like 3 months ago. And you continue to build this momentum every 30, 60, 90 days. And I think that's what you're going to see coming out of Slammiversary. There is a lot of attention around Slammiversary. It's going to be our biggest show. It's super exciting. But oh, by the way, what are you going to do after Slammiversary? It's just the way it works. And you know, whether you're an athlete, whether you're in the entertainment space and you're doing shows, whether you're in the sports space, sure, you get like a little pause and you can enjoy it for a moment, but then guess what? You got to come back and keep, you know, keep it rolling, and that's what we're going to do coming out of Slammiversary.
Yeah, there's no off season of wrestling. You have a show the next Thursday, and that's it. You have to deliver on that show, otherwise people start criticizing you. That's just the name of the game. So
That's right.
just to double back, it's fair to say you still expect the show to be phenomenal, correct?
It's fair to say that I very much expect this show to be phenomenal.
Okay, there you go. This partnership that you guys have with WWE, it's obviously benefited TNA quite a bit. I saw a citation in a report last week that social media has delivered, what, 5.3 million in earned value this year. So TNA, you guys are raking it in from an exposure standpoint. Historically, WWE, they haven't really been that keen to reach their hand across the aisle to competitors. What do you believe is their motivation? And is it simply to box out other competition? Because they don't necessarily need to help you guys along.
No, I don't think so, but I think that WWE and NXT also, when you're the leader in a category like they are, and you see it from WWE, you know, you see it from the NFL, you see it from the Olympics, you see it from, you know, World Cup or Formula One. I think part of their job being the leader is also to pull the entire sport and properties up. And I really think that's how they're thinking about it. And you see it now on their social with us.
Mhm.
Um, it only benefits all of wrestling as the leader then takes a property like TNA that's foundational, been around for 23 years, one of the major leagues. But you know, we're not naive. We understand that there's WWE, there's AEW, and there's TNA. But being there and then, you know, having a big brother like WWE to put their arm around you and help you with creative, help you work through things, help even with logistics, help you to just understand how you can be bigger. It has been great. And I think it's really accelerated here over the last sort of, I'd say 90 days, but certainly in the last 60 days in a big way around not just working together, but now really re- creating wrestling stories together. And I think the fans, the way I see it, as a fan for a second on my social media and just being a fan, is I think the fans are enjoying that there's this new element around crossing over between promotions that is never really been done at this level, and this consistently.
Yeah, certainly not with WWE. No question with that. There's this increased expectation because of this that TNA talent working in WWE, they're more likely to eventually jump over when contracts expire because they get a taste of the ecosystem. They know what's going on. And because of that, there's assumptions, that similar moves may happen with talent currently under contract. I'm thinking back to the PGA Tour Live Golf Framework Agreement that it doesn't really include any provisions about talent, and Live still kind of took a couple guys from the PGA Tour. I'm wondering if there's any part of this agreement, even if it's not in ink, that both sides are working together toward easing such transitions, making sure they're not shocks to the system or anything like that.
Look, I think the simple answer is I think it's a true partnership. And I don't know. I mean, I only know what I read about the PGA Tour and Live Golf and being in the industry. I don't really see that. I don't see them being in partnership at all.
No, they're
I
not.
mean,
They're not yet. Yeah,
It's not, so like it is purely a competitive situation. Like we have a partnership agreement with WWE and NXT. And so we're contemplating all of those things around how talent moves, how talent develops, how talent might go up, down, sideways. We've been working quite a bit with AAA. We had been working with AAA, but now we're working with AAA at a different level. And Dorian and the team down there are great to work with. We were down at Triple Mania with a whole bunch of our wrestlers. Joe Henry came out to Joe Henry song in Spanish, which was spectacular.
he's cool.
And I think we're just going to continue to do more because it's a true partnership, and I think it's benefiting it's benefiting all of us to continue to grow this way. And so it's going to continue, and I hope it continues to accelerate.
My greatest curiosity about this partnership has been the actual creative process, just given all the moving parts in both directions. There's so many TV shows, premium live events, pay-per-views, so many obstacles, schedules, personal situations. Are there any guardrails contractually to make sure everything works out equitably, or is it as simple as, like you're just saying, mutual trust and understanding and everyone's working toward a common goal?
Having done a lot of deals throughout my career, the best deals are ones that no one ever talks about a contract. No one ever cites a clause in a contract. And when that starts to happen, guess what? You don't have a very good deal, because that's when you know it's getting tense. So far, as I've sort of taken over this relationship on the TNA side, working at all levels, we nobody has ever brought up, well, this is written down in a contract. And so I just think everyone's trying to enjoy creating content for the fans, which is ultimately, WWE and NXT are the best in wrestling at doing it. TNA has done it for a really long time in a super authentic way. It's why we've been around for 23 years. And I think we're all just enjoying doing it with each other. And I think Slammiversary will be another example of that, that is going to be, is going to blow the fans' minds off, and have them enjoy and laugh and go, oh my God. And that's what the wrestling business is all about. And so, yeah, no, I mean, sure, I read the contract when we finally signed it. I don't think I've opened it up and looked at it, since that happened at the beginning of the year.
Fair enough. Now, more specifically, because I think this is something fans just are curious about, how does the creative get handled? Is it the respective creative leads working with one another? Is there a point person that's keeping track of everything, ensuring consistency and continuity? Like, how does it actually go down?
Usually it's pretty simple. It's usually a bunch of text messages with emails and a phone call if it's needed. And, to your point, Adam, sometimes the thing that we have to be most careful about is sometimes just making sure logistically we can get people where they need to go.
Mhm.
There's a lot of WWE shows, there's a lot of NXT shows, there's a lot of TNA shows and tapings, and we just got to get people to wherever they need to be. The good news is everyone. This is what we all do, and everyone's pretty good at it. And so even at times when that can happen, as we can create content, anywhere in the world these days. And we were doing that. I mean, yeah, we've done it on our side, whether it's Santino, our director of authority, announcing something, and he might be anywhere in the world, and he puts out a 1 minute clip on social that might announce something. And so, yeah, no, it's that's probably the biggest thing, is just making sure the logistics. But the creative's been very easy. It's been, these are the ideas. What do you think about it? And look, I think we're also learning a lot from working with them, and I think they appreciate sometimes our feedback around our fan base too, and we just work through it together. So far, it's been great.
So the talent and marketing exchanges have both gone well. Has there been any legitimate talks of a full-on co-promoted TNA, NXT, maybe even AAA event? Is that something we're likely to see?
Don't really know. We haven't really talked about it. I think we've just been doing what we do best, which is, there's a AAA show in Monterrey, Mexico. Here's a storyline. Let's make it happen. There's, NXT, we know, is every Tuesday night. It's mostly in Orlando. So there's storylines that are laid out, weeks and months in advance. And then there's the bigger opportunities that happen, like WrestleMania with Joe, that are, just, they're big deals for everybody. And so, maybe those aren't quite as planned out, because I think, the creative minds that be are always grinding on trying to find, new ways to create, these great moments for all the fans. But, yeah, it's one of those things where every 2 or 3 days we're all connected. I've got a great team on my side with Tommy and Tommy Dreamer and Hunter and Eric, and on their side, on the NXT side, we mostly work with Sean and Johnny. down in NXT, and as needed, we work with the WWE team on the bigger items, whoever that might be.
As this, relationship developed, obviously speculation is going to kind of come around, citing unnamed sources, of course, from other people that WWE's gearing up to buy TNA or perhaps even TKO is looking at Anthem Sports as an acquisition target. As you sit in your position, has that topic been broached internally or otherwise?
No, no, I mean, for us, I've been doing this a long time around creating properties, building properties, creating the kind of groundswell of the fans really loving what we're doing. I think that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, if you have a great product and you deliver on the product and you're being professional around how you build that product as a business,
Mhm.
I think the opportunities will come up. And it's my job to create opportunities for for our investors. And look, our partnership with WWE and NXT is going great, and we're going to keep it going great. And that could appear as an opportunity down the road, but that we're just sort of making sure that things like Slammiversary and Bound for Glory are, what we're doing on TV, how we're creating content, how we're working with our partners, how we're bringing in new sponsors, how we're filling up arenas. If we do all those things well, the business will sort itself out, and there'll be opportunities that then we'll explore, internally as well as with our partners.
Well, to that end, right, for those listening who may not know, you made waves last week. You shared that there's some ongoing negotiations to put TNA on a channel with greater reach than Access currently has, in a deal that you said I think you're hoping is in the range of 10 million annually. Are those negotiations specifically for Impact itself, and how focused are you on linear TV being the home for that show?
I don't, yeah, we're definitely not focused just on linear. I think, if you didn't see, you saw Dana saying something the other day about how, they're looking at more global platforms. I think all of us, look, I've been in and around the disruptive part of television for 25 years. It's been a big part of my career. I mean, we're in yet again, maybe the biggest disruptive moment, maybe since cable formed 30 plus years ago when we were all screaming for MTV on our cable watch. I think we're in that same moment, but it's the opposite. Instead of it all coming together in this new platform, all of the platforms are exploding outward, and we don't know where they're all going to land. And so we're looking at really nobody is really in the linear business anymore. They might be at the core linear company, but then they're looking to be the digital company. If they're a core digital company, they're looking to try and understand how they look like a linear company to bring in those fans so that they can understand it. And we're talking to everyone, and we're also exploring some stuff on our own. We've got a bunch of platforms that we build in TNA Plus, and we've been, doing a lot of good work on a bunch of digital platforms, YouTube being one, but a few others. So again, I think we're cobbling it all together. There's a lot of moving parts. We're seeing on a weekly basis properties that could also be opportunities then getting sold. Things change on a weekly basis. So as I've said, this is about getting the I's dotted and T's crossed. It's hard. It's hard work, but things are going well, and we're going to keep grinding to get it done.
How far away would you say TNA is from profitability, and is that attainable in the near future? Like with your current projections?
I think I think, it's right there. It's kind of a one deal kind of a moment. And that's a bunch of different deals around sponsorship, distribution. And I think operationally, we've just gotten a lot tighter, stronger. Uh, Look, I mean, you can't deny too, and I think people sometimes forget, when you put more people in the stands, that's a foundational revenue stream for a live events business that matters.
Right.
And we're going to have, we've had more and more people in the stands every single week this entire year, and it continues to increase. I mean, I've heard stories from a year, 18 months, 2 years ago where there were 300 and 400 people in the stands. I mean, we're never in those kinds of situations anymore. And, you've always got 1,200, 1,500, and, moving up to thousands and thousands that you're going to see on Sunday night at UBS Arena. And that matters. And I also don't think that any of these businesses, there's one piece of it. It's distribution. There's ticketing. There's merchandise. There's F&B. There's certainly sponsorship. And you've got to go hit all of those items so that you can have a healthy business. And it's what we've done for a long time. And we're trying to bring that business rigor to TNA. And so far so good. But again, we're only, at least for me, I'm only 6-7 months into this journey, and you got to continue to sort of get the business right. But things feel really good right now.
As someone who didn't really watch much TNA in what people would consider its heyday, I find myself putting on that fast channel with regularity. Have operators been pretty pleased with viewership there? Does TNA see that still as a benefit? And is that something that's going to continue regardless of a new TV deal?
Absolutely. It's definitely one of our, the library is very important to the value here at TNA. We have 6,000 hours of content from over the years. It's nearly all digitized other than some of the older standard definition stuff, but anything from the HD world is all digitized. It's available. If you subscribe to TNA Plus, you can have it now. We're obviously building and distributing a really great fast channel. There's some opportunities even in Europe around that fast channel that we're exploring. And it continues to just be another outlet. You got to keep hitting all of your outlets, whether it's your traditional TV distribution with the show like Impact, whether it's the explosion shows that we do that are the 1 hour cut down shows, the social media that we do. You got to just keep working all of it to continue to build the fan base up. And we've got a great team that does that every day. And, we have a great team down in Nashville that have been, leading TNA, with Eric Tompkins being a member of that team for, more than 15 years. And they have all that foundational knowledge that really helps, to your point, to bring also some of the great archives to the surface so that people can really understand that TNA isn't just popular now. It's been popular for a long time.
I know our time's ticking down. I'll get you out of here on this real quick. WWE, they're seen as the worldwide leader. AEW, they've emerged as the challenger brand coming out of Slammiversary. How do you want TNA to be seen? What is the unique selling proposition for this brand?
I think TNA brings an interesting place because, again, we're one of the major leagues. We've been around for 23 years. It's not easy to have any business around for 23 years, yet alone one in sports and entertainment. They come and go all the time. So as TNA had its ups and downs, of course, everybody has their ups and downs over the course of 23 years. We're definitely on it up. But I also think that TNA brings this unique, authentic wrestling brand that can develop young talent, can find and develop folks like Joe Hendry and bring them up and let the world enjoy them. But then we also can be a place where, guys like, Nick Nemeth, certainly the Hardys, and a whole bunch of other ones, I can't even mention all of them, also can extend their career and then recreate their career here at TNA that then puts them back on an upward trajectory as well. And I think that's a unique, that's sort of the unique thing about TNA that also, helps us create these great partnerships, because I think the fans can, get that. And then you see some really interesting stuff. You got guys like Leon Slater. That's another example of a young star that has come up through TNA. And, Matt Hardy talks about him all the time, about how he's got a vested interest as a coach and really coaching him up. I mean, you can't buy that kind of stuff. I mean, that stuff is unbelievable, and it's so helpful to TNA and all the fans, but it's also helpful to Leon. And it's really cool for Matt because I think he's really enjoying it. So I think that's what's unique about TNA.
No, that's great. And it's great to have you here. I appreciate you being so candid with us. Thank you so much for the time. And great luck this weekend, Slammiversary, UBS Arena, July 20th in New York.
Great. Thank you, Adam.